year 1. This week in our maths lesson, we are going to look at weights. Okay, last week we looked at lengths, so this week we are going to look at weights. These are the keywords we are going to use: compare, weight, heavy, heavier, heaviest, light, lighter, lightest, and balance. Okay, now what's meant by heavy, heavier, and heaviest? How can we compare those three words? We're going to look at those words and see whether we could compare them. Here I have three objects on this table. I've got an apple, I've got a multilink cube, and a split pin. Now look at these words that I've written here: heavy, heavier, heaviest. Now if I look at these three, if I had to sort these three out, which one would be the heaviest? So looking at it, I'm going to think, is the multilink cube heavier than the apple? It's not. I feel like the apple is heavier than the multilink cube. What about the split pin? The apple is still heavier than the split pin. So out of all these three, I find the apple as the heaviest. So I'm going to put apple there. Now, what about these two? So I've got the multilink cube and the split pin. Which is heavier? I feel the multilink cube is heavier than the split pin. So that goes there and split pin goes there. So split pin is heavy. That's heavier. It's heavier than the split pin. And this is the heaviest of all. Now what about if I just sort them out in a different way? If I said I want to sort them out as light, lighter, and lightest. Okay, let me pick this one out, the split pin, and let me take this one. So this is definitely lighter than this. Okay, what about the apple and the split pin? So this is the lighter than this apple. So this is the lightest of all. Of all the three, this is the lightest. I'm going to place this one there. And these two, which is lighter, apple or the multilink cube? I feel the multilink cube is lighter than the apple. So the apple goes there. So the apple is light, that's lighter, and that is the lightest, okay, out of all the three. So we sorted these three objects as heavy, heavier, heaviest, light, lighter, lightest. It's gone a bit opposite there, hasn't it? Now, last week when we looked at lengths, we measured lengths. So we used a ruler to measure lengths. So remember the vertical and the horizontal. Okay, the length and the height we measured. Now how could I measure the weight of these? I can't use a ruler to measure how much it weighs. So what do you think I can use? I can't use a ruler. So what do you think I can use to measure the weight of these objects? Okay, so it's not the ruler. We use something called a balance. I'm going to show you what the balance is. There you go. This is called a balance. Now a balance has got two sides. Okay, so that's one side. So when two objects are equal, the balance should be up, like equal, like this. Okay, when one side is heavier, the balance will go down. Okay, so I'm going to see what happens when I place this apple on the balance. I'm going to place this apple on this side of the balance. Watch what is going to happen. Oops. This side went down and this side has gone up. Now the reason for that, what do you think the reason might be? It's because the apple is heavier than this side. So there's nothing on this side. The apple is heavier. Now we said the apple was the heaviest of all. It's not true. So it was heavier than the multilink cube. If I put the multilink cube there, this is heavier and that's why it's staying down. This is lighter than the apple. That's why it's staying up. Now, still, I haven't got the measure. I know the apple is heaviest of all. I still haven't got how much the apple weighs. So how could I weigh the apple? Right. So we could use some non-standard method of measuring an apple. I'm going to use these cubes to measure the weight of the apple. So I've got one cube here. So I'm going to see how many cubes it takes to measure the apple, to weigh the apple. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, oops, it's moving, 32, still the apple is heavier because it's down, 32, 33, so now it's trying to balance, 33, 34, so it is balancing, so the apple weighs 34 multilink cubes. Okay, so the apple weighs 34 multilink cubes. Now what happens if I keep on adding 34, 35, 36, 37, 38. Now can you see clearly this side has gone down. So 38 multilink cubes is heavier. They are heavier than the apple. Okay, now using this idea, we're going to solve some problems involving weight. Okay, right, going back to our objective to compare weights and using these keywords. Now let's look at our first problem. Circle the heaviest item. I've got a balloon here, a ball and an elephant. So which one do you think is the heaviest of all? So obviously the elephant will be the heaviest one. So I'm going to circle the elephant. Okay, now look at this statement. We've got a pineapple and an orange. Now which side do you think is heavier? This side or this side? It would be this side, isn't it? Because it is down. We saw the apple going down when nothing was placed. So this is the heaviest side. So the orange and the pineapple are an equal weight. Are they equal? No, if they were equal, they'll be equal like this. They are not. The orange is lighter than the pineapple. Yes, that is correct. Orange is lighter than the pineapple. Right, let's have a look at the next one. These items have been ordered from lightest to heaviest. Okay, so we've got shell, a bucket and a stone. Which item is missing from the scale? So they put a bucket there. So I can see the bucket has gone down. That means this is the heaviest side. So I need to put something over there that should be lighter than the bucket. So which one do you think is lighter than the bucket? The stone or the shell? So which one would be the lighter? It would probably the shell, isn't it? So it would be A, the shell. So shell would be lighter than the bucket. Okay, let's look at this one. An apple was placed on one side of the scale and a grape was placed on the other. Okay, so they've got two balances there. This is also called a scale, balance scales. Okay, now which one is correct? An apple was placed on one side of the scale and a grape was placed on the other side. So we know that the apple would be heavier than the grapes. So let's look at B. B is saying it should be the equal weight. This is equal weight. Apple and grapes are not the equal weight. Apple is heavier than the grapes. So probably it's A. And where would the apple be placed? Probably apple would be here because it's heavier and the grapes would be here. It's lighter than the apple. Okay, so the apple is heavier than the grapes. Okay, now this week I've posted a lot of work relating to weights and you will be solving problems like this in your work. Make use of this video and try understanding about balance, scales and weight and solve those problems. And if you have any questions, do email us and we will explain it to you. Thank you.